my great honor to present our next speaker, me.
Is this your Mindshare Winning talk?
No, similar themes, but different. My name is Andrew McGregor, and I have a diverse background doing from journalism to social enterprise and things like that. And a few years ago, I was in Eastern DR Congo doing war photography, and I got exposed to the scourge of landmines after I saw some kids who had lost limbs and things like that. So I'm calling this later. It kind of stayed with me of like these landmines, because this isn't a real one, but this is basically what an anti-personnel mine looks like. They would use this for training purposes, and about 8 kilograms will set it off, and they put a few grams of TNT or something called TNT with RDX mixed into it. I'll pass that around so you can see what we're doing. So those just will last for centuries until a kid or a large enough animal or a woman will step on it, and then that person's life is damaged, if not ruined. And so like that just, it's wrong to me. So I was like, And then I was a judge on this thing called the Robot Film Festival, and it's a cool film festival you should know about that seeks to showcase benevolent human-machine interactions. So like one of their slogans is, "What if Skynet loved us?" Which is actually kind of a cute thought, right? Like, oh, don't die, humans. So I was exposed to all this new technology and things like that, and I was like, what if we have to be able to use this like Moore's Law 3D manufacturing revolution we're experiencing to help with the landmines? So my solution to that, since I'm also a filmmaker, was to write a short film with the hope of inspiring an engineer to kind of work on the problem and have that be the impetus. However, in the process of making the short film, I ended up inventing a robot that's now in its final prototype phases to map landmine fields. I'm going to explain how that all happened. So I wrote the script, and it's a love story between a rat and a robot who guide humans through a minefield. The reason it's a love story...
Is it finished?
We have like 2 days of post-production. I'm trying to get finishing funds for coloring. So the reason it's a love story between a rat and a robot is people still use rats or dogs, basically. It's really hard to get the sensing right to pick up a little bit of TNT that's been there for like 30 years. It's just this monstrous engineering challenge. So animals are still best. So a lot of demining work, particularly in places like Cambodia where I'm focused, is just a person with a stick behind an animal, and then the animal sniffs it, and they go and they will unearth the mine, put a little explosive charge on it, detonate the charge, and then that blows up that mine. It's a really dangerous, laborious process. So I took my screenplay to a puppeteer I know, and I was like, make me the most adorable machine in the world. And he drew this kind of like Mars rover inspired mock-up. And I was like, oh, cool. So then we made our movie. In the movie is these 3 women run out of water in the middle of a minefield and go insane. Because I thought, beautiful women losing their mind is imminently watchable. And you'll watch anything after that, including a love story between a rat and a robot. Because I was like, what's the backstory? Like, there's no cafe moment. But what this also had the effect of doing is creating advocacy, because landmines it's kind of like a malaria problem to a lot of Americans. It happens, and you know it happens, but you don't kind of understand and you can't empathize with it because it's people of a different race who don't speak your language. And there's like an intrinsic tribalism that I feel prevents a lot of humanitarian endeavors because of that. So the act of making this movie, this was an unintended side effect, is it created this great activist movement. That's one of the rats sniffing a mine. That's what that kind of looks like. Cool. And all right, I'll get to how the robot works. But yeah, so we're trying to turn acts of engineering into humanitarian acts, and we're able to do that through a design challenge, where the film is... This is kind of the inspiration for it'll be an international design challenge we're launching, because we've created one tool for landmines, but now we want high schools and maker spaces and all the people who made this prototype work to contribute to the future of a landmine-free world. So just for a little interesting for the robot tech people of human and animal interactions, basically there's a person back there, and the rat runs across a string, and then if the rat sniffs a mine, the person makes a note of it, and then the string is moved up and the rat moves back. Basically, we just replace the person with the stick, so the robot watches the rat, and whenever the rat picks it, the robot generates a map of where the animal found the landmine, and then it makes a clicky sound, because that's how the animals are trained. It's this Pavlovian response. So the robot makes a clicky sound, rat goes back, and it's given a little food. And that kind of programming interaction of how do you program, like love, right? Because it's a kind of love, like food for sex relationships exist frequently, and that's kind of in this ballpark. And things like that have been these real great challenges. And so it's by kind of overcoming these challenges, we've been able to develop this philosophy, which is in the title of the organization's name, Symbiobotics, which is symbiosis and robotics combined. And that's led to the creation of a design challenge we're launching, in which we're going to provide the resource. It'll be like an X Prize type of thing, where here's how much money we can raise, create like a robot that can autonomously map a minefield. And so it's bringing together all the love, the art, the innovation, to forge a whole new type of engineering and a whole new way to help humanity. And it all started with one of these blowing up a child in Congo in a short film. And it's led to this actual, I think, revolutionary movement in engineering and how aid is practiced and how activism can be practiced. So I have a few minutes and I'm speaking across the hall, and thank you very much for listening.